Hi everyone, in today's video we're going to be covering the beginner prep for C launch Southeast Asia, scheduled to release for May 18th. Let's jump into the PvE section right here. Just note that the information that I'm going to be referencing, it's going to be from this beginner guide right here. Thank you to Legion for pretty much creating this. Also thank you to Milk Gaming. And then if you jump into here, this is going to be the story section. This should be your main focus as your starting story, and we're going to be tackling this mission in particular. I just want to notate a few things when we're starting out. The important part is to have units and also to have a fantastic reroll, which we'll talk about later on. All right, so this is going to be like the main screen right here. You deploy your units. Now the important part with deployment is that you can see there are 8 slots for this team in particular. You only really need 4 like members. Don't be like me. I made this mistake early on where I tried to raise like 7 or 8 units. It's really ill-advised. It'll hurt you more in the long run as a free-to-play, even as a whale player, because you're going to be spreading yourself too thin. So just focus on units when you first start out. This section right here, you can essentially use like a friend unit. So this is going to be something that you're being utilizing at the beginning of the game. And right here, we're pretty much going to start the fight, right? So here, let's jump back into the reroll. You're going to be presented with 30 beginner rolls as this game starts, very similar to the Epic 7 system. There's going to be different unit types. The things that I want us to pretty much have are the strikers and rangers. They're pretty decent on being able to tank. Note that there are counter, soldier, and mech types. All of them are pretty good. There's no real triangle for them. The triangle is mostly for role advantage. By triangle, I'm talking about a weapon triangle, like striker is good at dealing damage to ranger is good at defender, and defender is good at dealing damage to snipers. All right. So in the 30 beginner rerolls, you should aim for Kyle or Esterosa. They're going to be your more meta pick. As to more reasons why, this is going to be the section that explains it. Kyle and Esterosa actually have some tankiness in their kit. So Kyle having a taunt shield and Esterosa having a shield sort of thing. So I recommend going for them. They're going to be helping you out with your progression early on. Some other units that I would like to look into outside of like the SSRs, because obviously the SSR are going to be great, is going to be this dude right here, and then this chica right here with the pink hair. Now these two are going to be DPS units. I know that she's a sniper, but she launches like a giant nuke on the field. I'll try to showcase it. And then this is old man right here is going to be one of the better SR defenders. Most of the beginning defenders, you know, SSR wise, they're not really that great. So I wouldn't focus on trying to reroll for an SSR defender. They're really not that necessary. Here's going to be the best healer in the game, you know, SR wise. Yang Harim is going to be one of the first banners. You can pull for her if you want a healer. She's going to be one of the better ones as the game pretty much goes on. And then as you're going through this, you can also use this chica right here with like the little like shades and stuff. She's going to be a good SR unit that you can use. I used her and she's pretty great, and you're going to get shards for her fairly frequently. This is going to be like more recommended units. Any units in like the green square, they're going to be pretty good. And this white unit, this white square in particular, this unit you get for free, Seo Yoon. So that's why it's not recommended to really pull for her. And if you're wondering, is this game free to play friendly? Note that yes, it is, but it's only if you don't focus on PvP too much. There's going to be a banner release like every week. So I would recommend to take this game more casually. Who doesn't want to say too competitive and whatnot, right? Because if they release a banner every week, obviously you're going to be overwhelmed. Now, what are the rates looking like? If it stays the same as KR, it's going to be 3% with 150 pulls guaranteed. Not too bad. That's better than most games. Princess Connect, it's like 3% rates, but it takes like 300 pulls for a guaranteed. So I feel like this, you know, sort of summon system is more up to date than most. Should you save your premium currency? I would say yes, mostly because there's going to be a lot of meta units. There's going to be better units releasing in the future. And like we talked about, we're probably going to be on an accelerated schedule where we see heroes every week. Can you use an emulator? There's going to be a PC client. Is this a main or side game? If you're, you know, trying to be hardcore, then it's a main game. If it's a side game, you can play for roughly 30 minutes. We'll showcase how you're going to be doing that. You're essentially going to be jumping into the dungeons. Right here in the auto battle section, you can see like everything's going on auto, everything's good. So you can let this run for like 12 to 24 hours. This portion right here, you can actually set like it to repeat like 100 times. So if you want to do it that way, you can. So hopefully it's a feature that's enabled in Southeast Asia. I don't see them taking it away since it's not really a global launch, and Southeast Asia is gonna have all English stuff, in case you're aware. Like you can see here, this is a screenshot from Southeast Asia launch. Here's some more units that you can use. Yumina and Hilde, they're gonna be the 2 free units that you also get with this dude right here. So feel free to raise them if you don't have enough units. They can be part of like the original 8 that you raise as a free to play. Note that you're eventually going to be raising 24 characters for raids, but like we advised earlier, you only need 4 characters. You can use 2 defenders and the rest of them being attackers. It's really up to you how you you want to play the game, yes, defenders are great for keeping up like the front lines. It's going to be hard to say their use in the late future because defenders aren't really going to be used in PvP. But as a free to play, that I think is wonderful advice. The two defenders that are going to be great are going to be the old man right here and this Chica right here. They have like the little defender symbol, not to mention they're in the green square. You're going to get a lot of copies for her, so she's going to be a good free to play alternative as a defender. All right, so as you're going through the bits right here, you're also going to be getting ships. Leaders are essentially the first character that you deploy. Note that it just lowers your deployment cost by 1. Structuring your team, you can have 2 defenders and 1 healer. Now that's a little too defensive for my taste, especially if you're only building like 8 units at a time. So you can have maybe 1 defender, a couple of like strikers, and you know, a ranger right here. I think that's a good balance. You can see like this team, you know, they have the defenders like coming out later on, but that's just going to be because we talked about Esterosa and Kyle. They're going to be good units that can be kind of beefy early on. All right, this currency right here, the purple cubes, that's going to be the stamina. One of the mistakes that you should greatly avoid is claiming them in the mail. Make sure to leave it in mail, as he pretty much stated here, because if you claim all of your stamina and you can't really appropriately use it, or you're not going to be playing the game that long, you essentially wasted that stamina because now you can't really wait for like the automatic recharge. Trust me, this game hands out stamina very, very frequently, so you're not going to be in a situation that you run out of stamina unless you're farming like 24/7. All right, so here are going to be some tips when you get like lower tier units. You're going to get them quite often. Maybe once we complete this fight right here, we're going to be showcasing like the low tier units that you can get. I highly recommend selling them off because you're going to need a lot of gold in order to raise characters. Don't try using them for passive stats. We'll talk about that later, but right here we just completed it, lo and behold. So we got a couple of low tier units right here and some gold, probably the most important resource in the entire game. So let's go ahead and jump back into the home menu. We're not going to be repeating that. And if you want to sell off your units, you're going to go into this section in particular. You hit the trash bin, and now you can, you know, pretty much sell off your lower tier units, which I highly recommend. I know it's not providing like that much gold, but this gold goes a long way. Another way that you can essentially use the extra units that you have, if you jump right here into this building looking sort of deal, this is going to be like the upgrade section where you can build ships and stuff, but this part is probably the portion that we need to talk about. So here you can essentially, you know, pick whichever unit that you want. Let's say this dude, and you can use like these units as fodder. Here's going to be like an automatic selection, and what's happening here is you're increasing your passive stats. Note that the gains are really small, so it's not really worth it. It's better to use this as gold, and you can see here my gold is pretty finite at 643,000. And the reason why you need so much gold is because of this system right here. This is going to be the level ups, right? So let's select this character in particular. What happens is if we like select all of this, right, this is going to be like how much we're going to be increasing the character. It's going to be costing us roughly 627,000 gold. We only have 643,000. That's going to be one of the biggest grinds in the game, and hence why it's recommended to sell off your units early on, because you're going to be upgrading very many units at the same time. And here's a system where you can pretty much use like the fodders to raise your passive stats. Note that these passive stats increase as you limit break your characters. We'll talk about limit break later on. Here's going to be some ships. It's recommended to use the Normandy early on. Normandy, you can build more of them in the future. Eventually you'll also get this guy right here, the Glepnir. He's going to be a free like ship that you can get as you progress through the campaign, and ships are going to be important because of the fact right here you can see it shows like their movement range. So obviously you want better ships so you can get better movement throughout the map. All right, here's going to be the section where we talk about like the dupes and limit breaking. What's important here is you can use these APT cubes, or you can use another character. So what am I talking about? If you jump right here and then you click like this, or you can technically click this back arrow right here, you jump into the beaker section. Here's in a part where you limit break characters. You can use a dupe unit, I don't have one, or you can use these APT core cube. All right, we're jumping back here into the home menu, and then we're going to be going into the PvE section. Let's go ahead and talk about like the daily grind for free to play, people who are treating this as a side game and only playing for 30 minutes. So this section right here, this little symbol, this is going to be your EXP dungeon, your skill dungeon, and then later on like the limit breaking dungeon. So what am I talking about right here? This is going to be like the EXP material that I talked about earlier and showcased, and this is going to be like the skill system. You know, you can level up your skills. You don't use Molagora just like in FX7. It's not like that. You use this and you can actually farm it. So you can farm Molagora in this game. Pretty cool. And then here's going to be like the limit breaking like cubes that you can get from this section. So all right here, you can get everything that you need. Later on, we'll get other like games or other dungeons, this one in particular, where you can farm like more extra stuff. Regardless, this isn't going to be as great of a drop as like the one I just showcased previously. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into more bits. Now the important part is you can craft gear. The gear that you get early on isn't that great. It's important to just wear 2-piece sets, that way you can get the 10% bonus. You know, that's like a sort of standard thing in any gacha. You wear sets until you can wear actual gear. You can get gear from this section like I'm showcasing here. So what happens is this is going to be the gear section. I can get tier 2 gear, and later on as I do like more progression, I can get up to T5 gear. If you're wondering how is this gear, so if you jump all the way back to like around this section, this is going to be like the upgrading building that we were showcasing earlier. This is going to be like the idle like gear crafting section. So what happens here, I claim it, and then I can wear like the gear, right? I get some gear. So if you want to get some gear, you essentially be like, I'm going to use this T3 right here, and I'm going to hit yes 30 minutes or 38 minutes, and then I can increase it and it'll make more gear since, you know, I have more stuff. So that's going to be nice right there. And now I can, you know, speed it up if I want to, if I need gear more often. Note that the gear here is kind of weird because the gear is like, you have your counter units that we talked about earlier that wears the watch parts, and then like the soldier who wears like military equipment. Let's get a little bit of a closer look so you guys can see it. So you can see there, watch parts, soldier, military equipment, and mech. So not everyone can essentially wear the same gear. Kind of annoying, I have to say, but it is what it is at the end of the day, right? So there's going to be quartz as well that you can spend. If you're wondering what is quartz, quartz is going to be this system right here. You can either do two of things. So let's go ahead and jump back into the menu, go right here into the shops. Now quartz is probably the currency that you can use to either buy skins from. So this is a free-to-play way to buy some skins. Some skins will be sold for quartz, like this one in particular. So you can get this one technically absolutely for free, since, you know, that's using the quartz system. This is going to be the premium currency, this green thing right here. I haven't seen a way to farm that, but anyways, it's going to be nice that you can get like the free stuff right there, or you can pretty much jump into here. There are like some other sections where, you know, you can refresh. This is like the shop, and note the important part is sometimes it gives you like summon currency. Summon currency is going to be looking fairly different. So let's go ahead and jump into the home menu and show you what summon currency is going to be looking like. That's going to be the summon section right here. It's going to be this dude out, okay? So you're going to be needing a lot of these. If you see this in the shop, make sure to buy it out with gold. And sometimes there was a thing in KRTW, but they took it out. You can buy 3 summons for, you know, 270 quartz, and you save 180 quartz. Just note that this option was removed in KR/TW, but it's one of the things that you want to do in case you're free to play and you want to get more summons, because summons are going to be helping you a lot and not really a requirement for this game. All right, so we showcased this. This is going to be like, I guess, a skin that might have been used for quartz, not anymore. So maybe some of these skins are also limited to quartz times only. There's also going to be like an idle feature where you're doing like the HQ thing. So if you jump into this section right here, this is going to be like the idle feature. You can get like extra stamina and whatnot from here. So if you click it, you can see this is what we're doing right now. Sometimes you can get raids from doing like some of the idle systems. Note that you can get some stamina right here. So it's going to be nice depending on how you play there. Let's go ahead and cancel this just so you can see it. There's a 1 hour, 4 hour, and 8 hour version. As a free to play, as a casual player, I would recommend the 8 hour version, but most of the time I would recommend going here into the 1 hour to 4 hour section if you're fairly active, because this currency is going to be used to pretty much farm the tower mode. I'm not playing too often, so I'm going to go with this one. So if you're wondering what is the tower mode, if you jump into this section right here in the right hand corner, my logo might be blocking it, but it's all right. There's going to be a tower section where you use like that currency that we showcased earlier. Right here, you can see that's the currency. This is not the summon currency. What happens is you can essentially set 2 teams, right? So we're going to be selecting these 2 teams, and then we're pretty much going to be jumping in and doing the tower stuff. This is going to be a great way to get free to play resources such as new ships and equipment. So make sure to jump into this tower. All that happens here is you essentially like select whichever maze that you want to run, and you pretty much get into a fight, and you're like, all right, I'm going to use this team. Note that the bullets right there, the 2 yellow bullets, that's going to be something where it's like, hey, you can only use this team a certain amount of time. That's going to be very great. And note that you can get like the skill books and stuff from there as well. Manage your intel appropriately. That was the system that we're using in order to go into the tower. And you can see here, you're going to be using info and training data in order to level up skills. So the importance of this game is using your EXP tickets and getting a lot of gold. You're going to be leveling a lot of units at once, and you want to get around account level 30. That's going to be the important bit, and getting to auto battles at chapter 3 or 4, because that's going to be providing more gold. That's going to be the rush, because essentially you can see here, we showcased it earlier, but you're going to be spending a lot of gold in order to upgrade characters. The loyalty system is pretty important to get your units to the best stats, so make sure to always offer 30% when you're upgrading characters. All right, now this is going to be talking about the dupe section and the awakening system. Awakening system comes later on, but let's go ahead and finish out like this tower mode right here. You can see we're getting gear as well from the tower mode just through the normal fight, but that's going to be essentially like a beginner prep, and you can also, you know, select these. But note here that one of the bullets pretty much dropped off after I used them. So make sure to focus on this tower mode as well. Do not forget about it because it's kind of hidden away. It's just going to be important in order to progress faster as a free-to-play in the beginning. So just to give a cliff notes on everything, the important parts is having Kyle or Esterosa as your beginner reroll. Raise up to 4 or 8 units at the same time. Don't try to get Yun because you're going to be getting her absolutely for free as you are pretty much going through the game. The important bits are getting towards the point where you're farming EXP tickets and gold early on. All right, that's going to be your main priority. Getting a good reroll, getting EXP tickets and gold later on. You don't really have to worry about like expending your stamina in the correct locations. As long as you can push through story and you're saving your quartz and trying to get more summon currency flowing through the game, that's going to be the most important part. Lastly, the biggest thing is going into this tower mode that we're tackling right now in order to get free to play gear. And gear wise, you're going to only need like that 2-piece set that we referenced earlier. That's going to be this section right here. And of course, if you scroll to the bottom, there's going to be more resources that you can check out. But anyways, if you've made it this far in today's video, consider subscribing, dropping a like, leaving a comment, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter. Once we hit 20,000 subs, we're doing a giveaway. Have yourself a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next one. Let's go ahead and tackle this tower. So for those who want to stick around and want to see this, just note that this game can be very grindy. Getting gold is such an important factor. Please do not underestimate the power of gold in this game. If you underestimate the power of gold, you're going to be having a very hard time because it's expensive getting units to level 70 or even to like, you know, level 60. It's going to get worse and worse over time and increasing, you know, since you have 8 units that you're going to be ideally raising at the same time. It's going to be expensive to get them all at their appropriate levels, not to mention their skill levels. All right, so we managed to complete the tower right here, and as you can see, we got some gold, so that's going to be an important part towards progression. If anything, your #1 focus should be jumping into the story mode that we just selected there, and then farming story. Right now we're in episode 3, but try to get to episode 3 or 4 in order to farm gold, in order to have enough gold to raise all of your units. Thanks everyone.